First, Disney messed with an Avenger.
And they offered me half the money. I told them to go fly a kite.
Then they decided to toy with the Guardians, who flipped the script the moment they realized.
So we weren't necessarily feeling like it was the end, but then...
It was like more towards the end that it started dawning on it.
But what makes this exit more troubling for Disney is Amazon's expensive interest in the talent. Buckle up, because Marvel's most explosive drama isn't on screen anymore. The Disney betrayal.
This is like the perfect bookend to this trilogy.
And it apparently doubles as the end of the Guardians' relationship with Disney. This isn't just a PR move. This isn't just actors speaking out. This is a declaration of war. And it comes just weeks before a $120 million Amazon deal threatens to rip a massive chunk of the Marvel Cinematic Universe away from the House of Mouse for good. So what exactly happened between the Guardians of the Galaxy cast and Marvel's top brass? Why are former Marvel icons like Dave Bautista and Karen Gillan suddenly dropping cryptic messages online? And what's in the alleged video that made one Disney executive storm out of a Burbank screening room in silence? Just months ago, Disney was riding high. Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 was a smash. Critics praised it as an emotional farewell and a surprisingly thoughtful send-off for one of Marvel's most beloved teams.
I wasn't ready for the emotions. I was not ready.
Me neither.
Me neither.
But behind the scenes, it was chaos. According to multiple insiders, including one former Marvel contractor who worked on the Atlanta reshoots, cast members were openly frustrated with how Disney treated James Gunn during his controversial firing and eventual rehiring. The cast had rallied behind him, threatening to walk if he wasn't reinstated. But while Gunn returned, the trust never did. Let's talk about what insiders are calling the Guardians ultimatum, because that's what this was. According to leaked emails reviewed by independent journalists at The Wrap and Bounding Into Comics, a private meeting was held between key cast members and Disney reps in early 2023, a meeting where tensions boiled over. Karen Gillan, sources say, was the first to speak up, not just about creative frustration, but about pay disparity, lack of input on character arcs, and being treated like background props in the final Avengers scripts. Dave Bautista, always the most outspoken of the group, reportedly accused Disney of erasing Drax's complexity for cheap laughs. That claim tracks. Bautista has said as much in multiple interviews, including one where he flat out said he was done with Marvel.
To be honest with you, I don't know if I want to work for Disney.
Chris Pratt, typically Disney's golden boy, stayed quieter until that now viral chilling video surfaced, a video Disney allegedly tried to suppress. The cast, dressed in all black, filmed a farewell to fans on the last day of shooting, but what started as a sentimental goodbye reportedly devolved into something far more pointed. Karen Gillan allegedly says in the full, unreleased cut, "Some of us are saying goodbye to more than just our characters. We're saying goodbye to the people who stopped believing in what this story was really about." Disney panicked. According to one insider, a studio lawyer immediately flagged the clip, and legal was brought in to ensure the video wouldn't air in its raw form. But snippets have already leaked, and they're telling. Pom Klementieff, who plays Mantis, allegedly looks visibly upset as she says, "They made us feel like side characters in our own family. This wasn't just passive-aggressive nostalgia. It was a middle finger to Disney. To understand just how deep the betrayal goes, we have to rewind, back to 2018, when Disney fired James Gunn over resurfaced tweets they already knew about when they hired him. That public takedown shocked the cast. Within days, Zoe Saldana, Chris Pratt, and others signed an open letter defending Gunn. But what really hurt, according to internal memos leaked to Collider, was how quickly Disney moved on. "They never consulted us," one source quoted Gillan as saying. "They just assumed we'd keep smiling." Even after Gunn returned, the cast described the set atmosphere as muted and professional, not passionate. What once felt like a family had become a brand obligation. In a revealing 2023 interview, Nathan Fillion, who played Master Korea in Vol. 3, indirectly alluded to the change in tone.
They perform a little what-if trick. What if it were real? What if this were real life? What would these circumstances really do to a real person?
But the reality was less magical. One assistant director, speaking anonymously to Screen Geek, said, "You could feel the tension. Every scene was like a goodbye. No one trusted corporate anymore." So when James Gunn left for DC in late 2022, Disney hoped the cast would fall in line. Instead, they started calling Amazon. Around this time, cryptic tweets began surfacing. Karen Gillan allegedly posted, "Sometimes the best way to honor a legacy is to let it go." Dave Bautista was also said to have posted a picture of a burning bridge. And then came the leak, a video package labeled gfinal_cut2.mov, uploaded briefly to a Vimeo test account. Though it was slyly removed, screen recordings spread across Reddit and X, formerly Twitter, sparking a frenzy. What made the video chilling, as many fans put it, wasn't just the somber tone, it was the implied threat. Chris Pratt, typically non-confrontational, allegedly ends the clip with this line, "You made us into a family on screen, then you treated us like strangers director's off it, so this is goodbye. To anyone reading between the lines, the message was clear. The Guardians weren't leaving Marvel. They were breaking up with Disney. Why should that scare the hell out of Marvel? Because this cast, unlike the Avengers, is still in their prime. They're beloved, they're bonded, and they've got stories left to tell. And now, thanks to Amazon, they finally can. The real tragedy of this fallout isn't just in the money lost or the brand damage, it's what it reveals. Behind the heartwarming space operas, behind the colorful costumes and billion-dollar box office, the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise had quietly become a pressure cooker, one powered by resentment, betrayal, and corporate indifference. And Disney? They ignored all the warning signs. Take Karen Gillan's arc. Nebula went from a tortured side villain to one of the MCU's most complex characters. And in Vulnerable 3, her performance was quietly among the best in the entire franchise.
In the first film, she was very sort of bitter and tormented, and then gradually she's evolving and developing compassion and forming a relationship with her sister Gamora. And so in this movie, we're starting to see her actually be able to help other people heal, which is a really important stage of the healing process.
But behind the scenes, Gillan reportedly pushed for more nuance, even suggesting rewrites that would expand Nebula's emotional closure. According to insiders, Disney resisted these changes, favoring plot convenience over character depth. That same report revealed that Gillan's input was routinely ignored, even as James Gunn privately agreed with many of her suggestions. This wasn't just a script issue. It was the beginning of the end of trust. Let's talk about Dave Bautista, the bluntest voice in the room. From day one, he's made it clear he's not playing Drax forever. But what's shocking is why. I just don't know if I want Drax to be my legacy, Bautista told GQ. It's a silly performance, and I want to do more dramatic stuff. He wasn't mad about the humor. He was mad about being flattened into comic relief, especially in the final chapters of the MCU, where Drax, who once carried a tragic backstory, was written off as the dumb, strong guy, a creative betrayal. Then there's Pom Klementieff, Mantis, a breakout favorite, a fan favorite, but to Disney, a glorified sidekick. Pom has consistently praised James Gunn for believing in her, but her silence on Disney's role has become louder over time. In one recent interview, she nearly broke character when asked about Marvel. She even said in one segment, "It was the cast. It was James. That's what made the set feel like home." Even Nathan Fillion couldn't help but sing James' praises.
And why was he the perfect writer-director? Because James is passionate. He actually loves these stories. He actually loves telling stories. Just think of somebody who's extremely good at their job. James is extremely good at his job, and his job is telling stories.
So where was the home when James left? It left with him. Even Chris Pratt, Disney's golden boy, seems done playing nice. Gone are the days of grinning press tours and Marvel loyalty posts. In a quiet but telling move, he recently scrubbed nearly all Marvel references from his personal Instagram bio, according to fans who track celebrity edits. And then there's the quote from a rap party in early 2023, where Pratt, visibly emotional, reportedly told the cast and crew, "We built something real here. Let's not let them turn it into content." A dig? Absolutely. And one that speaks to the heart of what the Guardians cast felt Disney was doing, stripping soul for algorithms. Here's the kicker. None of this had to happen. Disney had the perfect opportunity to do right by these actors. They could have honored the emotional weight of this final chapter, not just in marketing, but in negotiations. Instead, they undercut it at every turn. One casting department insider told Deadline that residuals for the core Guardians cast were insultingly low compared to the main Avengers. Despite the franchise grossing over $1.6 billion globally, they were the B team in the boardroom, even if they were the A team on screen, the source said. And when James Gunn wasn't there to protect them, that's when the idea started forming. Not just to leave Marvel, but to compete with it. Here's where the tone shiz, because the leaked video isn't just a goodbye letter. It's a warning. Multiple sources close to the post-production team described the video as eulogizing Marvel, painting the studio as something that used to care. And in the version shown at a private Amazon screening, the video ends with a slow zoom-out shot of the cast walking away from the Vol 3 set in total silence. No music, no jokes, no CGI, just boots on pavement, one after the other, walking out, a visual metaphor, a line in the sand. The Guardians were done. Here's the twist Disney didn't see coming. The cast didn't just quit the MCU. They quietly kept working together. According to Scoops, Karen Gillan and Pom Klementieff were both spotted in Los Angeles on the same call sheet as late as May 2024, months after their Marvel contracts expired. Chris Pratt, meanwhile, was reportedly in secret talks with Amazon Studios by April. And the studio wasn't just interested interested in any deal. They were planning something massive, a multi-title, multi-character package that would rival the emotional depth of the Guardians series, but with full creative control. And who was attached to help develop it? James Gunn's old collaborators. Yes, while Gunn himself can't legally produce for non-DC projects, sources close to Amazon confirmed that at least 3 former Gunn co-writers and producers were involved in Project Firebrand, the alleged code name for the Amazon deal. Disney didn't just lose a cast, they lost a movement. Let's not mince words. This is Marvel's worst nightmare. Not only is a beloved franchise leaving, they're reuniting under a rival streamer, and doing it with a veiled message to fans. The story's not over, but the studio doesn't get to finish it. Let's be real though, the move was about more than just the story. Amazon brought in the big guns for this deal negotiation. I'm talking a huge payday for everybody involved, as you're about to see. The $120 million power play. They didn't just walk away from Disney, they walked straight into the arms of a rival. In the early months of 2024, while Marvel quietly recalibrated for its next phase, something far more dangerous was brewing across town. Behind closed doors at Amazon Studios, executives were preparing for what insiders would later call the biggest creative heist of the decade. A $120 million content deal that didn't just involve high-profile actors, it involved Marvel's soul, and it started with a single conversation between Chris Pratt and an old friend at Amazon that flipped the entire board. Let's rewind. After Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 wrapped in late 2022, Disney assumed, naively, that the franchise had completed its arc. Sure, James Gunn was gone. Sure, some cast members had expressed burnout. But a few kind send-offs, a marketing campaign, and a couple of reunion teases in Avengers, Secret Wars would be enough to smooth things over, right? Wrong. Because according to insiders at Variety, Amazon had already been quietly recruiting disaffected Marvel talent since 2021, starting with former MCU producers and story editors. It was almost like they were saying, we don't want Marvel's IP, we want their people. That strategy reached a boiling point in 2023 when Chris Pratt reportedly met with Amazon reps at a private event in Montana, a hunting-themed retreat hosted by the streamer's Prime Video Originals division. What was discussed? A new kind of franchise, built not on superheroes, but disillusionment. By January 2024, the talks had turned formal. Amazon greenlit internal pre-development on what one producer nicknamed Project Firebrand, a 3-project, actor-driven universe described in internal memos as emotionally rich, thematically rebellious, ensemble-powered storytelling with genre-fluid DNA. Translation? A new Guardian-style saga without Marvel's leash. So who's involved? That's where it gets explosive. Multiple sources confirmed that the following actors were attached, either as stars, producers, or co-creators: Chris Pratt, Karen Gillan, Pom Klementieff, Sean Gunn, and Michael Rooker. According to The Hollywood Reporter, all 5 actors were part of the same negotiation package, with Amazon offering $120 million across multiple series over a 5-year span. That money isn't just for acting. It includes story development fees, first-look executive producer deals, back-end streaming bonuses, and partial ownership of merchandising rights, which is, to be blunt, everything Disney refused to offer. But here's where it gets deeper. This deal wasn't just about cash. It was about revenge. And at the center of that revenge, a concept series tentatively titled Outrunners. Sources describe Outrunners as a retro sci-fi character drama set in a post-apocalyptic frontier, where 5 fugitives must outrun a corrupted intergalactic authority. Sound familiar? That's no accident. One script consultant said the plot reads like a Guardians remix, only darker, sadder, and not tied to a toy line. And that's the power of this project. It lets these actors reclaim their archetypes. Chris Pratt plays an ex-soldier haunted by the war he fought for the wrong side. Karen Gillan plays a cybernetic dissident with a malfunctioning moral compass. Pom Klementieff plays a psychic empath hunted by the very institution that created her. Even the project's villain, reportedly eyed for Jonathan Majors before his legal troubles, was described as a cult leader masking tyranny as family. The symbolism isn't subtle. This isn't just storytelling. This is subversion. So how did Disney react? At first, they didn't believe it. According to an anonymous former Marvel strategist, Disney underestimated the AA deal. They thought this was a reunion project, a charity thing. They had no idea the scope. Then came the panic. Disney's legal team reportedly issued private warnings to former cast members, reminding them of non-derivative clause language, boilerplate contract terms designed to prevent actors from recreating Marvel-like stories outside the MCU. But here's the loophole. James Gunn, who's no longer with Marvel, had never signed a clause preventing his collaborators from continuing genre storytelling with similar tones, which means actors like Sean Gunn and Michael Rooker are free agents. And Karen Gillan? Her contract expired in 2023, with no exclusivity renewals signed. Same with Pom, same with Pratt. And just like that, Disney lost the Guardians. Let's talk numbers. The $120 million Amazon deal breaks down like this, according to Business Insider. $35 million for Season 1 of Outrunners. $20 million pre-development budget across 2 follow-up spin-offs. $15 million shared back-end profit pool for all core cast. $50 million flex fund for actor-produced side projects. But the real prize? The creative control. According to Gillen's manager, Amazon offered a full writer's room seat and even allowed Gillen to pitch ideas without showrunner gatekeeping. Palm Clementieff, meanwhile, is reportedly co-developing a French-Japanese sci-fi noir set in the same Outrunners universe. Chris Pratt, he's producing and starring in an origin series for his Outrunners character, reportedly titled Before the Flame. This isn't a one-off, it's a universe. Now let's zoom out, because this is bigger than a streaming deal. This is a new blueprint for defection, one that has industry insiders seriously worried. According to former Warner Brothers exec Rick Alvarez, the Amazon model could trigger a creative migration. Actors no longer want to be just faces, they want to be authors. This has already sparked internal reorgs at Disney. As reported by Deadline, Kevin Feige and his team are now facing pressure from Disney's board to shore up loyalty from remaining MCU stars. They've reportedly begun draying next-gen exclusivity contracts for new talent, locking actors into 5-picture deals even before their debut films release. But here's the irony. Even younger actors now see the Guardians fallout as a cautionary tale. One rising Marvel actor, whose identity was withheld by the direct, allegedly told his rep, "If they did that to Pratt and Gillen, what chance do I have?" Let's not forget the fans. The Amazon news didn't just spark excitement, it sparked a backlash against Marvel itself. Trending hashtags like #GuardiansDeservedBetter and #FirebrandOverMarvel exploded on X and TikTok. Reddit threads dissected the Outrunners leaks like Marvel used to dissect Infinity Stones. And fan artists? They've already started imagining Outrunners crossover posters, drawing parallels between Nebula and Gillen's new character Elka, between Mantis and Clementieff's Vera. But perhaps the most shocking reaction came from inside the Marvel family. Zoe Saldana, who played Gamora, liked multiple Instagram posts celebrating the Amazon deal, including one calling the Outrunners cast the real MCU. She later claimed her account was managed by a team, but the damage was done. Because even silence now feels political. What is Amazon really building? That's still under wraps. But here's what we know. Outrunners is greenlit and already filming in Georgia. 2 spin-offs are in development. A 2026 theatrical release might be on the table, making Amazon a serious film player. And most importantly, they're letting actors lead, not just in front of the camera, but behind it. As Sean Gunn allegedly told an interviewer at SSSW, this time the galaxy belongs to the storytellers. And with Marvel hemorrhaging public goodwill, this couldn't have come at a worse time. While this story is just heating up, what exactly does this mean for Marvel's future and the Guardians' legacy? The aftermath of the deal. Just like when Nathan Fillion asked the question,
what these circumstances really do to a real person.
Here's what happened after the deal with Amazon took place. Just days after the deal became public, multiple leaks emerged from inside Disney's Burbank HQ. According to reports in Deadline, Kevin Feige held a private emergency summit with top-level Marvel brass. Topics on the agenda: managing optics around the defection, reinforcing Phase 6, casting exclusivity, reviewing what one internal doc called creator loyalty erosion. The tone? Panic. They thought Marvel fatigue was their problem. Turns out their problem was talent mutiny. To make matters worse, several other key Marvel actors reportedly declined contract extensions within a week of the announcement. Most notably, Chris Hemsworth. Once positioned as the next anchor of the Avengers, Hemsworth had reportedly been circling negotiations for Thor 5 and a supporting role in Secret Wars. But by March 2024, talks stalled. By April, they collapsed. Insider confirmed that Hemsworth's team walked away entirely after Feige's office refused to offer creative input over Thor's arc. Apparently, Chris wanted to work with people who respect the story, not just spreadsheets. Let's be blunt. Marvel's Phase 5 and Phase 6 already looked rocky. Delayed films, bloated timelines, confusing multiverse setups. But now, they've lost their charm offensive. Gone are the stars who carried emotional weight. Gone are the charismatic misfits. Gone is the quirky ensemble that gave Marvel heart. Instead, we're with a half-recast Avengers lineup. Legal disputes still looming around Jonathan Majors. Unclear direction around Kang vs. Doom, and a fanbase fracturing in real time. According to the Direct, Marvel Studios has quietly shied internal messaging to focus less on crossover hype and more on contained character arcs. Translation? They're trying to pivot, fast. But without the Guardians, arguably the most emotionally resonant team in the MCU, the pivot feels hollow. The Guardians fandom wasn't just built on cosmic spectacle. It was built on vulnerability. Drax's grief, Rocket's trauma, Nebula's redemption, Mantis's quiet strength, Star-Lord's need for connection. These weren't just roles. These were reflections of people. emotional. Awkward, broken, healing, and that emotional investment, it's now following the actors, not the franchise. You can see it in the numbers. After Amazon confirmed development of Outrunners, social listening firm Think Analytics tracked a 19% drop in Marvel streaming engagement, a 29% spike in Prime Video user searches for Palm, Karen Gillan, and Guardians. Fan petitions asking Amazon to finish the story Disney abandoned. Here's what's wild. The Guardians deal may not be a one-off. It may be a template. According to Variety, several streamers are now reevaluating their actor agreements, offering co-writing roles, merchandise shares, partial IP licenses. Why? Because actors want control. They want to shape characters, protect their arcs, guard their legacies, and thanks to what happened at Amazon, they now know it's possible. And when that cast decides to walk together, they take the entire fan base with them. We've talked about it. The chilling rap video, the one that leaked in pieces across Reddit and Vimeo. Now we've seen what insiders say is the full cut, reportedly played in private to Amazon executives at a pre-deal screening. One Disney producer in attendance, according to Fandom Wire, allegedly walked out without speaking a word. So what happens now? Well, Marvel isn't going anywhere, but the Marvel you remember, the one with a motley crew of space weirdos who made you laugh, cry, and care, it's already gone, because the Guardians didn't just leave, they evolved, and just like that.
The perfect bookend to this trilogy.
And in doing so, they may have rewritten the future of franchise filmmaking, from one where actors serve the brand, to one where the brand serves the storytellers. If you enjoyed this video, click on the ones showing on your screen to enjoy more.
Oh, now they will. The greatest thing that could ever have happened to Marvel was having Disney buy us.
At first, the creators of Marvel's legendary characters seemed thrilled about the merger with Disney. It felt like a dream come true. But over time, that excitement faded. Now, the tone has completely shifted.
Hi, heroes. This is Stan Lee coming at you. Want you to know, Marvel has always been and always will be a reflection of the world.
The very people who gave life to these heroes are speaking out, sending a loud and clear message. Disrespect will not be tolerated. So what went wrong between Marvel's creators and the House of Mouse? The message that changed everything. Imagine if the most powerful entertainment corporation in the world was finally forced to face its own moral reckoning. It's May 2025, and what started as a grassroots rebellion by grieving families has grown into a movement that's reshaping the entire entertainment industry. These weren't just legal victories, they were declarations of independence from corporate tyranny. The thunderclap moment came when they stood up and said, "Enough!" Every major studio executive in Hollywood felt it. The creator families, armed with nothing but determination and the Copyright Act of 1976, had managed to make Disney, yes, the same Disney that owns ABC, ESPN, and controls almost 40% of the box office market blink. This wasn't David versus Goliath anymore. This was David assembling his own Avengers team.
It's a marriage made in heaven, and with all the power of Disney behind us. Well, you see the results. You see movies like The Avengers, Iron Man. They're all tremendous hits.
So it was the luckiest thing in the world that Disney bought Marvel. The settlements of 2023 weren't just legal documents. They were surrender papers from a corporate empire that had finally been forced to acknowledge its creative foundation. When Steve Ditko's estate settled in December 2023 and the other creator estates in June 2023, they didn't just win money. They won something infinitely more valuable, the power to redefine what respect means in the entertainment industry. Let's be crystal clear about what happened here. For decades, Disney operated under a simple principle. We own what we buy, and what we own, we control absolutely. The idea that creators or their families might have ongoing rights was treated as a quaint notion from a bygone era. But these families, these real-life Avengers, proved that the principle was built on quicksand.
Kid, I'm Mickey Mouse. I can do whatever the hell I want.
Won't people think that's a lazy and desperate nostalgia-milking cash grab?
They'll think whatever I tell them to think. Want to be Dr. Doom?
Dr. Doom?
Hey, is there an echo in here or something? Yeah, Dr. Doom. I'll give you your own Avengers film. Hell, I'll even give you two.
This chilling portrayal of corporate arrogance in our source material perfectly captures the mentality that these families successfully challenged. What makes this transformation truly revolutionary is its timing. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has generated over $22.93 billion in box office revenue alone. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They represent the value of creative ideas that were once compensated at $20 per page. Imagine creating Iron Man and being told your contribution was worth the same as a pizza order in 1963. The psychological warfare these families endured was immense. Disney's strategy was obvious. make it so painful, so expensive, so time-consuming to fight that surrender becomes preferable to justice. But they misunderstood something fundamental about creative families. These aren't venture capitalists motivated purely by profit. These are people fighting for their parents, grandparents' legacies. When Marvel sued the heirs using the work-for-hire argument, they essentially claimed that creativity has no ongoing value, that the act of imagination, of birthing cultural icons from nothing, was worth only the initial paycheck. The family's message in response was clear. Our parents created mythos that define modern culture. Their value extends far beyond what corporate America decided to pay them in the 1960s. The ripple effects are already transforming the industry landscape. Warner Brothers, seeing the writing on the wall, has reportedly begun proactive outreach to DC creator estates. Sony, facing its own Spider-Man rights challenges, is reconsidering how it treats creative legacies. Even Universal, which clutches its partial Hulk rights like a security blanket, knows that respect is now a business necessity, not a corporate nicety. The true power of this victory lies in what it symbolizes. These families essentially forced Disney to acknowledge that financial success must be shared with those who planted the seeds of that success. It's a principle that extends far beyond entertainment. In tech, in fashion, in any industry where creativity drives profit, the message is the same: respect the creator or face the consequences. Disney attempted to create a monopoly on pop culture mythology, only to be reminded that mythology belongs to the mythmakers first. What the creator families achieved goes beyond individual compensation. They've created a template for artistic justice in the corporate age. Every future creator entering Hollywood now knows they have ammunition if their legacy is disrespected. Every corporation knows that the cost of dishonoring creators' families has now been demonstrated in public, expensive litigation. The emotional impact cannot be overstated. These are children watching their parents' life work transformed into global phenomena, while being treated as legal obstacles to profit. The settlements represent more than financial resolution. They represent emotional justice for families who've carried the weight of feeling invisible in plain sight. For Marvel fans specifically, there's now a deeper emotional connection to every character on screen. Knowing that these characters' creators' families fought for recognition adds gravitas to every appearance of Iron Man, Spider-Man, or Doctor Strange. These aren't just CGI spectacles. They're the visual manifestations of a real-world battle for creative respect. The transformation in corporate culture doesn't stop at Disney's doorstep. The entire entertainment ecosystem is recalibrating. Streaming services are reconsidering creator contracts. Production companies are building more ethical frameworks. Even theme parks are examining how they honor the artists behind their attractions. The message has been received industry-wide. As new Marvel projects continue production, each carries the DNA of this struggle. Robert Downey Jr. returning as Dr. Doom isn't just a casting decision. It's happening in a world where creator families now have a seat at the table. The power dynamics have shifted irrevocably. The ultimate irony is that by forcing Disney to respect its creative foundation, these families may have actually saved the Marvel brand's soul. Characters have deeper meaning when their creation stories include dignity and recognition. Audiences connect more powerfully when they know the architects of their myths are honored. Looking ahead, the industry faces a new paradigm. The creator families have proven that the little guy can win, that corporate giants can be held accountable, that creative justice is possible. They've transformed the entertainment industry's moral compass, one settlement at a time. This victory resonates beyond Hollywood. Every worker who's ever felt undervalued, every family that's fought for recognition, every artist who's wondered about their legacy, they all see themselves in these Marvel creator families. It's a universal story of standing up for human dignity in the face of corporate indifference. The message is clear and unmistakable. Respect is not negotiable. Creativity has eternal value, and families will fight for justice even against the most powerful corporations on Earth. The Avengers may save the world on screen, but their creators' families have saved something equally precious: the soul of artistic collaboration. This war between the Avengers and Disney isn't new. It's just the latest round in a silent battle that's been raging behind the scenes for years. The legal war behind closed doors. The battleground was set long before the public knew war had been declared. It's 2021. The MCU is riding high on Endgame's success. Disney executives are counting their billions. But in the shadows, copyright termination notices are being filed like grenades thrown into Disney's legal department. The countdown to corporate reckoning has begun, and nobody at Disney is prepared for what's coming. These weren't random families looking for a payday. These were the estates of Marvel's foundational architects, armed with a powerful weapon: the U.S. Copyright Act. The law that says after 35 years, creators can reclaim their work from corporate hands. Disney's response was swift and brutal preemptive lawsuits that screamed, "How dare you challenge our absolute ownership?" Let's talk about what really happened behind those mahogany doors. Steve Ditko, co-creator of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange; Don Heck, the artistic genius behind Iron Man and Black Widow; Gene Colan, who gave us Captain Marvel and Falcon. These names weren't just credits on old comics. They were the architects of what would become a $22 billion movie franchise. Yet Disney's legal strategy treated them like common thieves trying to steal Disney property. The psychological warfare was textbook corporate intimidation. Disney, with its virtually unlimited legal budget, structured its lawsuits to drain the estate's resources. They knew most families couldn't survive a protracted battle, but they miscalculated spectacularly. The legal arguments Disney employed were masterfully cynical. The work-for-hire doctrine was wielded like a blunt instrument. Their position: if you were paid a day rate in 1963, you forfeit all future rights forever. Period. No discussion, no acknowledgement that your creation would become worth billions. Just a cold, corporate, "we paid you what we agreed." But here's what the lawsuits really revealed about Disney's corporate philosophy. In internal documents that came to light, the company's position was that these were annoyances to be eliminated through legal pressure, not creative partners to be respected, not foundation layers of their empire. Annoyances. That word alone cost Disney millions in public relations damage. The estates banded together in what became known as the Creator Coalition. They shared resources, coordinated legal strategies, and most importantly, shared emotional support. While Disney's lawyers processed these challenges as legal puzzles to solve, these families were fighting for their loved ones' legacies. The emotional stakes couldn't have been more asymmetrical. Consider the specific characters at stake. Iron Man had grossed over $8 billion in box office revenue alone. Spider-Man, with Tom Holland's portrayals, added another $6 billion to Disney's coffers, even with Sony's share. Black Widow, Hawkeye, Falcon, each represents hundreds of millions in revenue streams. Yet the families who created these icons had to fight tooth and nail just to be recognized as more than hired hands from the 1960s. The first settlement came in June 2023. Larry Lieber and the estates of Don Heck, Gene Colan, and Don Rico reached agreements with Marvel. The terms were sealed, but industry insiders suggest Disney finally realized that the cost of continued litigation exceeded the cost of fair compensation. The message was sent: challenge us, and you might just win. Steve Ditko's estate held out longer. The Spider-Man co-creators' representatives knew they held the strongest hand. Spider-Man wasn't just another character. He was Marvel's crown jewel, especially after the Sony partnership. The psychological pressure from Disney intensified, but Ditko's estate had learned from watching DC's treatment of Superman's creators. They refused to blink. The final settlement came in December 2023. Terms undisclosed, but the joint filing mentioned amicable resolution, corporate speak for "we paid what they demanded to make this go away." Disney had been forced into a corner: continue fighting and risk setting legal precedent that could affect their entire catalog, or settle quietly and maintain the illusion of absolute control. Behind the scenes, industry lawyers report that Disney's legal teams were rattled. For decades, they'd operated under the assumption that their contracts were bulletproof. The creator lawsuits exposed vulnerabilities in a legal framework built on 1960 S-era understanding of intellectual property. The corporate machinery designed to crush opposition had encountered something it couldn't defeat: generational determination. The parallel legal battle with Interdigital Inc. over patent infringement in Marvel films demonstrates Disney's broader legal challenges. When multiple fronts open simultaneously, even Disney's vast resources become strained. The creator families were part of a larger pattern. Disney's aggressive business model was making enemies faster than it could eliminate them. What these lawsuits really uncovered was the human cost of corporate indifference. Legal documents detailed how creators worked in tiny apartments while Disney executives lived in mansions, how sketches worth billions were sold for grocery money, how the architects of modern mythology died without seeing their creations' true value. The settlements created a new legal framework for the industry. Entertainment lawyers report unprecedented interest in creator-friendly contracts following the Marvel resolutions. Studios are preemptively renegotiating old deals to avoid future lawsuits. The creator estates set a precedent that will echo through entertainment law for decades. Disney's attempt to paint these lawsuits as greedy families seeking undeserved riches backfired spectacularly. Public sentiment sided overwhelmingly with the creators' heirs. Social media campaigns highlighted the stark contrast between corporate profits and creator compensation. The narrative Disney tried to control slipped through their fingers like sand. The legal war revealed something fundamental about modern entertainment economics. The line between creator and corporation wasn't meant to be a chasm. These lawsuits forced acknowledgement that creative collaborations require ongoing respect, not just initial payment. Disney's resistance to this principle cost them far more than proactive fairness would have. As litigation dragged on, internal Disney documents suggested growing concern about brand damage. damage. The company that built its empire on family values was publicly fighting the families of their creative foundations. The irony wasn't lost on the public. Every Spider-Man ticket sold came with questions about whether his creator's family was being fairly treated. The settlements represent more than legal resolution. They mark a turning point in corporate America's relationship with creative labor. If entertainment giants can be forced to respect creator legacies, what about tech innovators, fashion designers, software developers? The precedent stretches beyond Hollywood's borders. For the creator families, the legal journey was both vindication and ordeal. Years of stress, uncertainty, and public scrutiny took their toll, but they emerged victorious, having proven that David can indeed defeat Goliath when armed with justice and determination. Their message to future creators and heirs: your rights are worth fighting for, no matter how powerful the opposition. The closed-door negotiations that preceded the final settlements reportedly involved emotional appeals, not just financial discussions. Disney executives, perhaps for the first time, had to hear directly from families about what their loved ones' creations meant. The corporate machine was forced to confront the human hearts beating behind the balance sheets, the puppet strings of corporate control. Behind every Marvel movie, every Disney Plus series, every theme park attraction lies a shadowy world of corporate manipulation that would make any supervillain proud. The creator battles weren't isolated incidents. They were windows into a systematic approach to creative control that has redefined what it means to own art in the modern age. Welcome to Disney's real magic kingdom, where creativity is commoditized and artists become assets on a balance sheet. Let's expose the machinery. When Disney acquired Marvel in 2009, they weren't just buying characters. They were establishing a template for corporate content control that would reshape the entertainment industry. The VidAngel case from 2016 reveals this strategy perfectly. A small family-friendly streaming service trying to offer filtering technology gets crushed with a $62 million lawsuit. The message: innovation is only allowed when Disney controls it. The beauty of Disney's control mechanism lies in its multi-layered approach. First, buy the company outright. Then use legal warfare to establish dominance. Finally, reshape market expectations to their advantage. The creator families found themselves caught in this exact machinery, fighting not just for compensation, but for the very concept of creator autonomy.
I'd never heard that pretty little face. Do you moisturize?
Sometimes.
You bet your sweet ass you moisturize. There's probably all kinds of moisture on that face.
Thank you.
Gosh, Mr. Stark, you're real handsome.
Shut your goddamn mouth, goofy!
This chilling exchange captures the psychological manipulation at the heart of corporate control, maintaining a friendly facade while wielding absolute power. The 2019 Fox acquisition showcases this strategy at scale. Disney didn't just buy Fox for X-Men and Fantastic Four rights. They eliminated a competitor that might have challenged their narrative control. Even the Department of Justice recognized the antitrust implications. When government regulators feel compelled to intervene, you know the power concentration has reached critical mass. But control isn't just about acquisition. It's about redefining value. Disney masterfully convinced the industry that characters created for $20 per page in 1963 had no ongoing value to their creators. That billion-dollar franchises built on these foundations owed nothing to the architects. It's economic gaslighting at corporate scale. The 2023 antitrust claims regarding streaming services expose another control mechanism. Disney wasn't content with owning content. They needed to control distribution channels. When consumers filed lawsuits alleging onerous contracts that stifled competition, U.S. District Judge Edward Davila validated these concerns. The pattern is clear. Total vertical integration equals total control. Consider the psychological warfare employed against creator families. Disney's strategy wasn't just legal, it was designed to exhaust and demoralize. By treating creative families as legal annoyances rather than valued partners, they signaled a corporate philosophy where control trumps respect. The message to future creators: your work has value, but you don't. The Red Box dispute from 2012 provides another illuminating example. Disney accused a DVD rental company of unfair competition, essentially claiming that even secondary distribution challenged their control. The pattern repeats: any business model not controlled by Disney becomes a target for elimination. What's particularly insidious about this control mechanism is its self-perpetuating nature. By buying critics, influencing media coverage, and shaping industry narratives, Disney creates an environment where challenging their control seems futile. They've convinced many that this level of corporate power is not just normal, but necessary for entertainment production.
Good work out there today, team.
Hulk smash criminals.
Shame about all those apartment blocks, though.
Hulk was preventing future crime.
This dialogue perfectly encapsulates corporate doublespeak. We're heroes for eliminating competition before it threatens us. The creator settlements forced a crack in this control apparatus. For the first time, individual artist families proved they could challenge the machine and win. This wasn't just about money, it was about breaking the psychological hold that absolute corporate control had established over creative industries. Internal documents revealed during litigation exposed Disney's true philosophy. References to creators as contracted workers rather than creative partners showed how thoroughly dehumanized the creative process had become. Artists weren't collaborators in building mythologies, they were temporary employees whose relevance ended with their paychecks. The corporate control extends beyond just financial considerations. Disney has effectively created a mythological monopoly. By controlling both Marvel and potentially DC, had the Warner Brothers deal succeeded, they would have owned the modern American pantheon. These aren't just movie franchises, they're cultural touchstones that shape generational values and understanding. The settlements revealed another layer of control: information manipulation. When terms remained undisclosed and described as amicable, Disney maintained its preferred narrative while likely paying substantial sums behind closed doors. They control not just the content, but the story of the content's creation and ownership. What makes this control mechanism particularly dangerous is its invisibility to casual observers. Audiences see beloved characters and don't question the power structures behind them. The creator lawsuits pulled back the curtain on an industry where corporate control had calcified into creative tyranny. The ripple effects of challenging this control extend beyond entertainment. When creator families proved that corporate power could be questioned and changed, they inspired similar challenges across industries. The message resonated: no corporation, regardless of size or power, is above accountability to the human beings whose creativity fuels their empires. Disney's attempt to paint these legal challenges as threats to the entertainment industry's economic model backfired spectacularly. Instead, it exposed how that model relied on creative exploitation dressed up as business necessity. The settlements forced acknowledgement that sustainable success requires respecting, not erasing, creative origins. The control apparatus Disney built was designed to be impenetrable. Contracts so complex they intimidated challenge. Legal resources so vast they outmatched opposition. PR machinery so powerful it shaped public perception. Yet the creator families found the weak point: the court of public opinion and the principle of creative justice. Disney used to control creative output. We see a cautionary tale about corporate power in the creative industries. The settlements don't just represent legal victories. They represent the beginning of a recalibration where control shifts from absolute corporate power to balanced creative partnerships. Future creators and their families now understand that these strings can be cut, that the puppet can fight back. Disney's empire isn't built on contracts alone. It's built on creative minds that deserve recognition beyond their initial compensation. The creator battles proved that even Disney's sophisticated control system has vulnerabilities when faced with determined opposition and public scrutiny. In the end, the war between the Avengers and Disney wasn't just a legal battle. It was a powerful stand against a system that often treats creativity like a commodity. For years, Disney built its empire on the backs of beloved characters, unforgettable stories, and the brilliance of the people behind them. But when those same people asked for fairness, for recognition, for a piece of what they helped build, they were met with silence, red tape, and closed doors. What started as private negotiations turned into a public reckoning. The Avengers, both on screen and behind the scenes, became symbols of resistance, not to storytelling, but to the corporate machine that tried to control it. Families of creators, lawyers, and even actors stepped up, not just for money, but for legacy, for the right to say, this was ours too. And now, the ripple effects are impossible to ignore. Disney, once seen as untouchable, has had to face real questions about ownership, ethics, and the future of entertainment. Will this lead to a new era where creators have more power? Or will the mouse behind the curtain find new ways to tighten its grip? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. The Avengers may have saved the universe on screen, but off-screen, they just might have saved the soul of Hollywood. What are your thoughts on the Avengers taking a stand against Disney? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more untold truths from behind the scenes, click on the cards on screen now.